We have all seen the photos, the grainy black and white shots of a happy family in Montecito, the carefully curated images of a boy running on a beach, or a girl sitting on a lawn. We are told this is the new American dream, a prince and a duchess escaping the toxic monarchy to raise their children in privacy and freedom. But what if I told you that the child in those pictures might not be living in that house at all? What if the reason we see so little of the royal children isn't privacy, but geography? A massive bombshell has just been dropped by one of the most connected insiders in the royal circle, Lady Colin Campbell. She isn't just speculating, she is stating on the record that Prince Archie VII, in line to the British throne, does not live with Meghan and Harry in California. According to these explosive claims, he is actually living thousands of miles away in the United Kingdom with the woman who actually gave birth to him. If this is true, it doesn't just destroy Meghan's brand as a relatable mother, it exposes one of the biggest deceptions in modern royal history. But the most shocking part isn't the claim itself, it's the fact that the palace hasn't denied it. To understand the weight of this accusation, you first have to understand who is making it. Lady C is not a random internet troll. She is a published author with decades of connections within the British aristocracy. She was the one who first broke the story about Princess Diana's struggles back in the 90s when everyone else was too afraid to speak. When she says she has seen the tapes or spoken to the sources, people listen. And right now, she is painting a picture of the Sussex marriage that is darker and more twisted than anything we've seen in the tabloids. Her latest revelation strikes at the very heart of the Sussex brand. She claims that the family unit we see in the media is a fabrication. According to her sources, Archie's living situation was a decision made a long time ago, a quiet arrangement to keep the child in the UK while Meghan and Harry play house in America. This theory aligns disturbingly well with what we have actually seen, or rather, what we haven't seen. Unlike the Cambridge children who we see growing up in real-time, Archie is a ghost. We get glimpses back of the headshots or heavily edited holiday cards. Lady C suggests this isn't artistic choice. It's a necessity. You can't photograph a child who isn't there. This throws a completely new light on Meghan's alleged paranoia about security. We've heard the stories of her claiming she needs heavy protection, that people are out to get her, that her babies aren't safe. But if Lady C is right, this paranoia might be a projection. It's not about physical safety, it's about the safety of the secret. If the world found out that the Duchess of Sussex, the woman who built her post-royal career on the identity of mom, was actually living an ocean away from her son, the backlash wouldn't just be severe. It would be career-ending. But to understand how we got here, we have to go back to the beginning, to a birth that confused the world. Let's look at the timeline, because this is where the cracks first started to show. When Meghan and Harry got married in May 2018, the pregnancy announcement followed very quickly. But almost immediately, the public noticed things were off. There were the rumors of the moon bump, the prosthetic belly, that seemed to change size and shape from day to day. There were the videos of her squatting down effortlessly in high heels, while supposedly 8 months pregnant, a physical feat that most mothers will tell you is nearly impossible. But the real smoking gun came with the birth certificate. Shortly after Archie was born, a strange change was made to the legal documentation. Meghan's first names, Rachel Meghan, were scrubbed from the record, leaving only Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. At the time, her team tried to spin this as a nod to Princess Diana, or a dictate from the palace. But legally, this makes no sense. In the UK, a birth certificate is a historical record. You don't just edit it for branding purposes. Lady C's theory offers a much more scandalous explanation. She suggests that this tampering was about obscuring the biological reality of the child. If a surrogate was used, which is the prevailing rumor, then legally under UK law, the woman who gives birth is the mother regardless of whose egg was used. If Meghan didn't carry the child, she would have to go through an adoption process to be the legal parent. This legal quagmire would explain why the names were changed, why the doctors refused to sign the standard announcements, and why the entire birth was shrouded in a level of secrecy that went far beyond privacy. It wasn't about hiding the baby from the press, it was about hiding the paperwork from the lawyers. And that brings us to the most controversial question of all. If Meghan didn't carry him, who did? This is where the story shifts from a celebrity scandal to a potential royal tragedy. The narrative being pushed by these allegations is that Harry, desperate for a family and perhaps rushing into a marriage, may have stepped out of the relationship biologically. Whether it was a formal surrogacy arrangement that went wrong or a biological relationship with another woman, the claim is that Archie's real mother is in the UK. There is a specific rumor that Meghan, ever the career woman, allegedly made her ex-husband sign a pregnancy contract, ensuring she would get personal trainers and nutritionists to get her body back if she ever got pregnant. The theory goes that with Harry, she didn't want to take the risk at all. A surrogate was the plan. But surrogacy laws in the UK are tricky. You cannot pay for it commercially, and the surrogate has the right to keep the baby if she changes her mind. Imagine a scenario where a surrogate was used, but the handover didn't go as planned. Or imagine a scenario where the child legally had to remain in the UK due to custody or heritage laws regarding the line of succession. This would explain Harry's bizarre behavior over the last few years. He is a man torn between two continents. We see him making these lightning-fast trips back to London, often alone, often looking miserable. The media says it's for court cases or brief meetings with the king. But is it? Or are these the only moments he gets to see his son? This adds a layer of heartbreak to the story. It paints Harry not just as a complicit liar, but as a father who is being held hostage by his own bad decisions. He has to play the part of the happy husband in California to keep the brand alive, but his heart and his heir are back in England. And while Harry is looking miserable, Meghan is doing the exact opposite. She is performing the role of her life. If you watch Meghan closely, her descriptions of motherhood often feel like she is reciting lines from a script. In her interview with The Cut, she talked about the palm trees in the garden and the joy of the school run. She talks about the littles and the kiddos. But it's always vague. It's always generic. There are no messy anecdotes, no specific stories that feel grounded in the chaos of raising toddlers. Lady C and other critics point out that Meghan's interactions with the narrative of motherhood are purely transactional. She uses the kids when she needs to shield herself from criticism. When the media attacks her, she is a young mother trying to survive. When she launches a podcast, she is the relatable working mom. But where is the evidence we see blurry photos? We see the back of a head. We see a highly stylized black and white image released to the press. Compare this to the way she acts when the cameras are actually rolling on her reality show. There are moments where the mask slips. The staff seem to be the ones handling the children. The interactions feel stiff, rehearsed. Lady C suggests that Meghan is essentially renting the image of motherhood without doing the work. If Archie is indeed in the UK, then the child we occasionally see in Montecito is either a stand-in, a visiting relative, or, and this is the darkest theory, a child brought in for photo ops. This would explain the school run mystery. Locals in Montecito have reportedly said they never see Meghan or Harry at the school gates. In a town that's small people talk. If the Duchess of Sussex was dropping her kid off every day, someone would know. The silence from the local community is deafening. It suggests that the daily routine she describes to magazines simply does not exist. But surely if this was all a lie, someone would have exposed it by now. This is the trillion-dollar question. If Meghan and Harry are faking the location and potentially the parentage of a remote heir to the throne, why hasn't King Charles or Prince William said anything? Why hasn't the palace released a statement clarifying the line of succession? The answer lies in the royal motto, never complain, never explain. But in this case, it's more like, give them enough rope to hang themselves. The palace knows that if they come out and directly accuse Meghan of faking a pregnancy or hiding a child, it looks like a vindictive attack on a woman of color. It would be a PR nightmare. They would be accused of racism, of bullying, of misogyny. Instead, they are playing the long game. They are letting the inconsistencies pile up. Notice how the royal website was slowly updated. Notice how Archie and Lilibet's titles were delayed. The palace is distancing itself legally without making a scene publicly. There is also the possibility of a super injunction, a powerful legal gag order in the UK that prevents the press from reporting on specific private details. It is entirely possible that the British press knows Archie is in the UK, but they are legally forbidden from printing it. This silence is actually the most damning evidence of all. If the rumors were false, if Archie was definitely 100% born of Meghan's body and living happily in California, the palace could easily shut down the trolls with a single certified document or a clear statement. The fact that they haven't suggests that the truth is a legal minefield that they are terrified to step on. They are waiting for the Sussexes to reveal themselves, but the pressure on Harry is starting to show. Look at Prince Harry in recent interviews. Does he look like a man living his best life? Or does he look anxious, defensive, and constantly on edge? When asked about his children, he often stammers or gives short-clipped answers. He pivots the conversation back to online safety or general parenting platitudes. He rarely tells a spontaneous story about something Archie said or did yesterday. Psychologically, this is the behavior of someone guarding a secret. Lady C implies that Harry is the one suffering the most in this arrangement. He was raised with a sense of duty, and despite his rebellion, he knows the importance of the line of succession. If he has allowed his son to be part of a fraudulent narrative, the guilt must be eating him alive. The theory that Archie is in the UK recontextualizes Harry's entire war against the British press. He isn't just angry about how they treated Diana. He is terrified they will dig up the truth about Archie. He is suing newspapers not just for hacking his phone 20 years ago, but to create a fortress of privacy so dense that no one can get close to the current reality. He is trying to legally intimidate anyone who might look too closely at the birth records or travel logs. And then there is the control aspect. Lady C suggests that this secret is how Meghan maintains control over Harry. If she holds the narrative, she holds the power. If the truth comes out, Harry looks like a fool and a traitor to his family. He is locked in. He has to support the lie because the truth would destroy him. But as with all houses of cards, the wind is starting to blow. The problem with a lie this big is that it requires constant maintenance. You have to remember what you said in the last interview. You have to make sure the photos match the timeline. You have to ensure the staff doesn't talk. And we are seeing the cracks. We see it in the conflicting stories about their privacy while they parade around on red carpets. We see it in the sheer weirdness of the children's birthdays where no one seems to be invited and the photos look like they were taken in a bunker. We see it in the fact that Meghan's father, Thomas Markle, has never met his grandchildren. Not once. Why is it really just because they have a bad relationship? Or is it because bringing the grandfather close would risk exposing the reality of the children? The public is waking up. The sympathy that once existed for the hounded couple has turned into suspicion. People are analyzing the pixels in the photos. They are cross-referencing the flight logs. They are listening to experts like Lady C not because they hate Meghan, but because the official story simply doesn't add up. When you invent something like a story, you eventually run out of details. Real life is full of mundane, verifiable facts. Manufactured life is vague. And the Sussex life is becoming vaguer by the day. The recent rumors that they are looking to move or that they are living separate lives all feed into this. If the marriage fails, the secret about the children becomes the ultimate bargaining chip in the divorce. If Lady C's allegations are even half true, we are looking at a deception that rivals anything in royal history. It suggests that Archie, a prince of the blood, is growing up in the shadows, separated from his father's public life and his mother's manufactured image. It suggests that the happy family in Montecito is nothing more than a PR construct designed to sell books, podcasts, and jam. The tragedy here isn't just about the lies, it's about a child. A little boy who has become a pawn in a high-stakes game of fame, money, and royal politics. If he is in the UK, he is being hidden. If he is in the US, he is being isolated. Either way, the reality is far from the fairy tale Meghan tries to sell. The silence from the palace won't last forever. The curiosity of the public won't fade. And as Archie gets older, he will become harder to hide. He will eventually have a voice. And when he finally speaks, or when the palace finally opens the files, the world will likely find out that what we saw on Oprah was just a performance. The curtain is falling, and what is behind it might be the end of the House of Sussex for good.